Today, I had the pleasure of seeing George R.R. Martin with my own two eyes at the A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms panel at Comic-Con. Now, I am going to do a full trailer breakdown of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, but today, I want to talk about what I experienced and saw at this panel, because it was truly something special. The first thing that I will say is just seeing George R.R. Martin in person is surreal. It is so incredible to see the source of all of the characters and all of the things that you love so much in one person. He is hilarious and talks so much, definitely threw them off time a bunch of times. He even spoiled to the crowd that Aegon is a Targaryen, even though most people knew that, but it was still funny to watch the people he was with just panic when he said it. But what I really want to speak about today is the way in which the core of the story has really been seen in A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. The way in which every single person that was on the panel was speaking about the story was truly beautiful to see other people be so passionate about something that I love so much. The head showrunner of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms knows what he's doing. He's very clearly not only read all three novellas, but understands them in depth, because he was speaking about things that you would only know if you were paying very close attention. He gave this really good speech about how the core of this story and what they pumped the whole show through is the perspective of someone who is common, of low birth, comes from nothing, interacting with a world that is bigger than him. And he was explaining how this element, this theme, is prevalent in every single scene, especially the tourney scenes. And one thing that I really loved was he was speaking about the combat that we were going to see, and he was explaining how it's going to be much smaller scale than House of the Dragon or Game of Thrones, but in being smaller scale and being more pulled back, the focal point is on Dunk and what he is going through during his Trial of Seven and during his other battles. About halfway through the panel, he described A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms Season 1 as whimsical, that every single element of the story is there to make it feel whimsical. He said the music adds a whimsical feel, the colors are very vibrant, and that he really did everything he possibly could to ensure that A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms stands out against the other two TV shows, and he really tried to match George R.R. Martin's tone as close as humanly possible. It was so relieving to see the showrunner, the person behind all of this, know what he was talking about and be so passionate about in A Song of Ice and Fire related product. And this passion that the showrunner had, I would argue Dunk and Egg themselves had even more of somehow. Peter and Dexter, who are Dunk and Egg, are the physical embodiment of those characters in the real world. And I'm not kidding when I say that. It is jarring in the most beautiful way watching these two human beings interact in front of you and being like, those are the characters from my favorite book. Peter, who is this 6'6" Chad, was really nervous on stage. And he was telling the audience that he didn't really know what he was doing here. He was super nervous, that when he got the role for Dunk, he had a panic attack. And just going on and on and on about how in his own life, he's felt very unsure of himself at times, and that in honing in on the character of Dunk, it helped him find himself. But then, Dexter, who's 11 years old at this time, is one of the most confident and one of the most charismatic speakers on that stage. And he's sitting right next to George R.R. Martin. This little kid was comfortably sitting next to one of the greatest and most legendary writers of all time, holding his own and interacting with him without stuttering, without looking for help, without panicking. It was unbelievable. They had this really cute moment where they were talking about how after filming, they would go to an arcade nearby to decompress, and that they're both saving up all of their tickets to buy a PS5 for Egg. They had this really cute back and forth where they both were like, no, I'm always the one who beat the other person. They were always losing. They're lying. It was so beautiful because these two human beings naturally embodied the characteristics of these characters. And you can very much tell that they adore the roles that they were given. Peter was asked a question. It was, what is your favorite scene of season 1? Light spoilers here if you don't want to hear them. And he took a second to ask, and he goes, you know, there definitely is one that stands out. And he said his favorite scene to film was Duncan the Tall's monologue before Baelor Breakspear and everyone else joins his side during the Trial of Seven. And the second he said that, I started tearing up immediately, because I knew this was an actor and a human being who genuinely loved and understood the role that he was given. I was looking at Sir Duncan the Tall. No ifs, ands, or buts. And then when Egg was asked the same question, he said he had this really fun tug-of-war scene that's going to be in the show. And then his second thing was just building the relationship with Dunk, with Peter. These two actors alone tell me that this is going to be something special, and this is probably going to be the best season of Game of Thrones related content we've ever received. But the panel gets better. George R.R. Martin was talking today, and I mean really talking. First of all, he said that he absolutely adores the TV show, that he thinks it's phenomenal. He said that he believes it contains debatably the best jousting ever put to screen, which is incredibly cool. And there was just nothing but love from George R.R. Martin to the showrunner, to the two actors next to him, and to the project that they were speaking about. That, mixed in with the trailer that I'm going to talk about in tomorrow's video, makes me beyond certain that this is going to be a very special and beautiful TV show. Now, for the last part of this video, I want to quickly go over something George R.R. Martin said at the very end of the panel, and just the general vibe that this man was giving off. At the end of the panel, George R.R. Martin was knighting 3 people, and one of them, who is a woman, asked if they could be called Sir, and her exact reasoning was because it worked for Brienne of Tarth. And George R.R. Martin's response to this person saying that was, that has not happened in the books. Yet. And when he said yet, Katarina, who's my lovely girlfriend, who hasn't read the books, looked at me and said, that does not sound like he's done. And after the panel, I was talking to Quinn the GM, and we were all in the same boat. Today, this George R.R. Martin did not come off like a man defeated. Over the last year, maybe even few years, there have been a lot of updates by George R.R. Martin that just haven't been promising. And he's just come off really sad, which sucks. Now, this could be because I'm on cloud 9 right now. This could be because I was just so happy to see an idol of mine. But I am telling you right now, the vibe that I got, the vibe that my partner got, the vibe that the people around me were getting, was that that man is not done writing. I am not trying to cope. I'm just being honest. That's the way it felt. I only have one word to describe the experience that I had at this panel, and that's perfection. Every minute, every second, every word that was spoken did nothing but reassure me that we are in good hands. That the story that I love so much, the story that fundamentally changed my life the second I read it, is going to be adapted with respect. And that is all we can ask for. It was just such a beautiful experience, and the people up on that stage were human beings. You could feel their emotions when they were speaking. You could feel their passion. You could feel that they cared about the people that were in front of them. And especially now in a world where it feels like everyone is fake all the time, to see that was genuinely beautiful and got me emotional while I was there. All in all, I am incredibly excited for A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. I am not hesitant. I'm not trying to maintain my expectations. They are high. They could not be higher. I am expecting this to be one of my favorite shows ever. And honestly, I think you should too. Be ready. Because when season 1 drops, when that episode airs, we're going to be in for a new era of A Song of Ice and Fire / Game of Thrones related content. If you've made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Peace.